ecosystem scattered throughout the entire biosphere we call Earth supports an amazing diversity of species, and in today's society, around 1.7 million species have been aptly identified and named, yet the task is far from complete. New species continue to be discovered, and some scientists even suggest that there may be about 10 million species inhabiting the Earth. Regardless of the true number of species of organisms inhabiting our planet, one thing is certain: the diversity of species in the planet is not static. As millions of years pass, evolution rises, leading to the evolution of new species and consequently leading to the extinction of other species. In addition to that, biological diversity differs from environment to environment. Distinct geographic patterns of diversity relate to environmental conditions that have influenced the evolution of species diversity, as well as the ability of local environments to support a diverse community. To begin, the country is estimated to have about 9,000 species of flora, with about 3,000 of these plants endemic to the Philippines, as well as 165 species of mammals, with 121 of these 165 mammals endemic to the Philippines. Also, there are approximately 400 species of exotic birds, 56 species of bats, and 5 out of only 7 species of marine turtles, all here in the Philippines. Among these species include the following: Pithecofaga jefferi, or the monkey-eating eagle, which resides in the forests of Isabela, Samar, Leyte, and Mindanao. The Philippine eagle symbolizes the efforts of the Filipinos to save the rainforests of the Philippines in order to preserve them for the following generations. Next up is the Cynocephalus volans, or the flying lemur, also known as kagwang in Mindanao. They reside in the rainforests of Basilan, Leyte, Samar, Bohol, and Mindanao. They are a curious and fascinating species due to the fact that its patagium, which is a membrane that stretches from its forelimbs to its tail, allows it to glide a distance of about 100 meters that helps it hunt for food and escape from its predators such as the Philippine eagle. Another interesting aspect regarding Philippine biodiversity is the fact that of the 7 known species of marine sea turtles, 5 of them may be found in the Philippines. They are the following: green sea turtle, or the Chelonium midas, hawksbill sea turtle, or the Eretmochelys imbricata, the loggerhead sea turtle, or Caretta caretta, the olive ridley sea turtle, or Lepidochelys olivacea, and the leatherback turtles, or Dermochelys coriacea. The Philippines is also home to the smallest bat in the world, known as the Philippine bamboo bat, Tylonicteris pachypus, which is only 4 centimeters in length and has a wingspan of a mere 15 centimeters. Other rare species that may be found in the Philippines is the world's smallest hoofed animal, the Tragalus nigricans, or locally known as pilandok. The world's most endangered deer, the Philippine spotted deer, also known as Cervus alfredi. The world's smallest monkey, the Philippine tarsier, or Tarsius sericta. The Palawan bearcat, or Arctictis binturong. The exotic kalangay, or Philippine cockatoo, also known as Cakatua hematoropigia. Various endemic fruit trees such as the durian, mabolo, pili, and bignay trees, and many more organisms. So what accounts for the various organisms that live in the Philippines? What has led to the proliferation of so many different species that may be found in the country? As you continue to watch, you may be able to learn and discover why. Before explaining why the Philippines supports such a highly diverse number of species, we must first delve on some of the factors that are important to understand why this is so. First, the Earth's biological diversity has changed through geologic time. Temporal changes in the local patterns of diversity reflect changes in the local distribution and abundance of species in response to changes in environmental conditions through time. This then leads to immigration and emigration of species as they respond to the regional and global changes in climate that are taking place. However, over geologic time, dramatic long-term evolutionary changes in patterns of global diversity may be observed, which may most likely be attributed to speciation as well as global extinction. In the last 600 million years, the number of most types of organisms have been increasing. We can look at invertebrates as an example. The following table shows the estimated species richness of fossilized invertebrate species over geologic time. This shows that the invertebrate species richness generally has increased as time progresses. Plants as well have also been increasing through geologic time. Since vascular land plants emerged around 400 million years ago, the number of species has increased continuously. But the groups that dominate the land flora have shifted as well. The following figure shows that the early vascular plants, which are the rootless and leafless coelopsids, were about 400 million years ago, but became extinct and were replaced by the pteridophytes, also known as ferns. The number of pteridophytes then declined, and at the same time, there was a diversification of a group of plants known as gymnosperms, which includes the cyads and the conifers. Lastly, when the gymnosperms declined in their species richness, the abundance and diversity of the angiosperms, which are the flowering plants, then increased. These two examples show concrete proof how there has been an increase in species richness over the course of time. However, extinctions have also affected the species richness of the organisms present in the modern world. The following figure shows that these periods of decline have been scattered throughout Earth's geologic timeline. Most of these extinctions are clustered in geologically brief periods of time. These mass extinctions occurred at different times. One occurred at the end of the Permian period when 90% of shallow water marine invertebrates disappeared. Another occurred at the end of the Cretaceous period, which wiped out the dinosaurs. Also, another occurred during the Pleistocene when mammals such as the mammoth, mastodon, and saber-toothed cats disappeared. For all these extinctions, climate change, volcanic activity, human intervention, and any combination of the three may have caused these extinctions. These extinctions, although they wiped out many species present at the given times, shaped the species that exist today. After learning about the background of biodiversity, it is safe to say that the Earth contains a wide variety of species, amounting to approximately 1.7 million known species as mentioned earlier. Furthermore, each species is known to be distributed unequally across the world, depending on certain geographic patterns. For example, the number of terrestrial species decreases as one moves away from the equator towards the poles. The same goes for aquatic species. This may be due to a hypothesis that the bigger the surface area of land or water, the richer the species diversity is. And because the Earth is spherical in shape, surface area is larger at the equator and smaller at the poles. Plants, mammals, birds, Fishes and many others portray this geographic pattern where species richness is highest at about 0 degrees on a latitudinal scale, meaning most of them are found at the equator. This is one explanation as to why the Philippines has many different species of both plants and animals. However, there are certain taxonomic groups that deviate from this general latitudinal gradient of species richness. For example, even though plant biodiversity is highest at the equatorial region, members of the plant family Cactaceae thrive in the mid-latitude zones due to high pressure and low precipitation in that area, where the said plant survives best at. There are also various hypotheses that have been proposed to explain latitudinal gradients of diversity. More than 25 different mechanisms or factors have been described to alter species diversity. Among these mechanisms are age of community, stability of climate over time, spatial heterogeneity of the environment, and ecosystem productivity. Some examples of these are when glacial expansion in the northern hemisphere causes the distribution of certain tree species to shift southward, and when it gets warmer again, distribution of these trees go back northward. This is because they cannot adapt to the climate during the glacial phase. This phenomena explains the age of community and stability of climate. For the mechanism of spatial extent, the correlation between surface area of land or water and species richness, as mentioned earlier, can be applied here. However, there may be another explanation for this mechanism. A hypothesis was formulated explaining that most of the land surface on Earth during the Tertiary period was tropical or subtropical, and that is why plants are richer in the tropics because of historical evolutionary processes. Moving on, in the book Vanishing Treasures of the Philippine Rainforest by Hini and Regalado, the Philippines is described as the Galapagos Islands times 10. These islands' high biodiversity and unique plant and animal composition inspired Charles Darwin when he formulated the theory of natural selection and concept of evolution. Now, multiply the thought by 10 and you get the Philippines. The rich biodiversity of the Philippines is caused by many factors. Its species richness, particularly, is highly associated with the available environmental energy of the territory. The more available environmental energy that the area has, the better its species richness. Curry found that the potential evapotranspiration, or PET, and regional patterns have a positive relationship with the species richness for mammals, birds, reptiles, and amphibians. PET is the amount of evaporation that would occur if a sufficient water source was available and is an index of integrated thermal energy. However, actual evapotranspiration, or AET, is mostly correlated with the variation of species richness. AET is the flux of water from the terrestrial surface to the atmosphere through evaporation and transpiration. The Philippines has three major types of rainforests because of the differences in elevation, climate, and rainfall. These are the tropical lowland rainforests, montane rainforests, and mossy cloud rainforests. The differences of these rainforests from each other amass a unique set of plants and animals. These rainforests are clear indicators of species richness correlated with available environmental energy, including PET and AET. In addition to that, there are three ways to define species diversity, starting from the spatial scale of individual communities or alpha diversity, variation in species composition among sites or communities in a geographic area or beta diversity, and even up to the total species diversity or species richness across all communities within a geographic area or gamma diversity. With all the characteristics from the previous subsections that undoubtedly describe the Philippines, it really is a very diverse region. It is even one of the 25 biological hotspots presented by the IUCN. Hotspots are defined as regions with high species diversity and endemism that are significantly affected by human activities. A region must support 1,500 or more endemic plants, and the region must have lost more than 70% of its original habitat. The IUCN raises awareness of these hotspots because a large percentage of the total fauna and floral species in the Earth are found only within the confines of these biological hotspots. The Philippines, being listed here, is one reason for us to be mindful of our environment endangering actions, because if not, high rates of species extinction would certainly be the outcome. However, we should not be fazed by the current situation of the Philippines now. Although things may seem bleak, various efforts made by both the government and non-government organizations are being done. Hopefully one day, the Philippines may be truly and completely studied so that the various organisms that may be found here may be used to benefit the welfare of the country's citizens.